Welcome back, everyone, to Hero Wars Guide. I'm going to talk about Spooky Festival coming this week to Hero Wars Web and Facebook. It'll be going live Friday this week or Thursday evening if you're like me in the Western Hemisphere. In this video, I'm going to talk about what's the task list, how does Spooky Fest compare to some of the other events that we see in terms of the value or return from the tasks, how far you should go in each task for the best rewards for you, and which dailies to hold off on to get an 8th day out of the event. I'm not going to get in great detail in this video about what to buy out of the Spooky Festival shop or how to do the Furnace of Souls, other than a quick note that it turns out one of the best strategies in last year's was to go in with one hero at a time to fight these minions, and because you can only use each hero one time, so you can pick 5 and go after them, or just pick one, give it a good pet, and a lot of people are finding that produce better results. But anyway, you can find videos on other channels that go into that. I don't know that I'll have much unique to add there. And maybe I'll put out another thing that, along with the shop, that touches on the value of the event bundle. But if it's like most of the others, it probably won't be quite as good as the 4 times Emerald sale. But the Summerfest was one of the better ones out there. If you don't have a whole lot of emeralds on hand and you want to provide some value to your guild, it might be a good thing to buy. Alright, so diving in, what are the tasks for Spooky Fest? We've got Login, VIP, spend up to 65,000 emeralds, 165 Outland chests, which is a lot, but this is a 7-day event, as we just saw, so the per day on that isn't really out of sync with what a lot of other events throw at you. 1,000 hero souls, a huge target there. Spending energy at 18,000, which again, considering the 7-day event, is lower per day than many. And then kill minions in the Furnace of Souls. That's that special feature of this event. It's like a little mini game. And then finally, completing the milestones in all of the tasks listed above at 86. So there's 91 that you could possibly complete there, so you can skip a small handful, 5 of those, and still finish out that last task for completing the other tasks. Alright, so when I'm talking about Spooky Fest and how it compares to some of the other events, how am I deciding what's the most valuable? And some of the reasons that's difficult is, Spooky Fest is going to give you these Spooky Fest coins, glyph enchantment runes, some artifact coins, chaos cores, and other events might give you something completely unrelated. Maybe it's Titan artifacts, or Guardians of Outland will give you a bunch of skin stones, things like that. So all these things come in different resource types and different resource amounts. So my approach for getting as close to an apples-to-apples comparison as possible is by considering how each resource might be gathered through emeralds, because almost anything that you can get in this game, you can spend some emeralds to get it faster. So you can make approximate values for each resource type based on how many emeralds it would cost you to get those resources right away. So a really easy example there is the heroic artifact chest key. If something was going to give you one of those, since you can buy 100 of those for 7,500 emeralds, that is a pretty quick emerald value of 75 per key. But, that highlights the idea that it's not the same for everyone. If you haven't opened the artifact chest with emeralds a handful of times, then it's actually 800 emeralds for 10, so that's 80 per key. So, none of this math is perfect, but, it should all be in a reasonable ballpark. And, some resources, I might have tuned down if they're very quickly abundant. So, when you're starting out, you don't have much of anything, but you'll pretty quickly find out that you're going to get to 130 relatively quickly, at least compared to a lot of the other things that you need to collect in the game. Heroic EXP potions are going to become less valuable pretty quickly as more and more of your heroes are getting maxed. Then gold and Titan and pet potions. A lot of the people who've been around for years are going to talk about how those things are completely useless to them. So in all of my comparisons, heroic and team experience is nothing, although I don't think that comes into play anyway. Gold, I've put at nothing as well. Titan and pet potions are still relevant for me, so I've left those alone. But generally speaking, everything's going to be at the default value other than what I mentioned there. Once you have an emerald value for each resource, you can compare the tasks that are assigned in each event by converting the rewards to the emerald value and then looking at how much you need to spend in order to get those emeralds. For example, there's 1,000 hero souls required by Spooky Fest, but only 500 for a lot of other events. So you don't want to just look at what do you get out of the task. You want to look at what do you get out of the task per soul that you have to acquire. So with all that in mind, I'll give a couple of quick examples here. The pet souls and pet eggs you can purchase within the game. You get, if you spend 250 emeralds, then you'll get one pet egg, pet summoning egg. And then, I've averaged out about 1,200 eggs got me 2.84 souls per egg. So then, if one of the rewards was a box of 5 pet souls, that's going to be worth 440, and that's just the 250 emeralds per egg divided by the 2.84 souls that you get per egg multiplied by 5 because there's 5 in the box. Another example here is the Spooky Fest coin, and that's another case where how much that's actually worth can vary pretty drastically depending on what you spend it on, but you should be spending it on anything that you would consider spending it on should be worth about 5,000 emeralds per coin. So there are a few traps in the shop for sure. Avoid buying the pet gems out of that. There are much better ways to get those. But most of the items are about 5,000. Chaos particles are worth something like 5,250. So 5,000 is a decent average. All right, so what event to spend on? I've charted out a couple of the recent events here shown against the Spooky Festival, which is appropriately here in orange. And what we see across is groups for the tasks that are common between all of these events, or most of them, and then the average emerald value for each activity that you have to perform in that task. So, for example, in the Outland chest task, this is saying that the Guardians of Outland gives you the best emerald value, where you get about 120 emeralds worth of value per Outland chest that you open. And that's an important distinction, again, because some of these tasks are going to assign a different maximum activity. And same thing for the others, except they've been put into batches so that the scale makes some sense here on this chart. This is saying that for each 1,000 emeralds that you spend in the Spend Emeralds task, you get somewhere between 400 and 450 for each of these 3 events. And so the couple of highlights here that I want to point out is that the spending energy reward within Spooky Fest is better than any of these other events, which are, apart from Time of the Fearless, pretty good events themselves. The biggest part of the reward comes at the very end of this task, which is that 18,000 limit for Spooky Festival on spending energy. I think the yeah, the 18,000 gives you a Spooky Festival coin, which is worth about 5,000. That brings up the average for all the others. And I point that out to say, if you're ending up at 15.5, definitely spend that extra little bit of energy using bottled energy or whatever to get the last bar, because this is a good task in Spooky Fest, and it's very top heavy on paying you out extra for totally completing that task. The Hero Souls, this is one where it's really hard to hit. It's 1,000 that you need in Spooky Festival. You know, so that's a high bar, and it's not giving you quite as high a return as some of the other events per soul that you have to acquire. So, you know, I'd say if you're maybe trying to get that 86 of the special event done and you're going to leave out 4 or 5 of them, the Hero Souls are probably a pretty good place to do it, because it's really hard to complete, first off, and it's not giving you as much as some of the other events will, and you're probably not going to max out all of these events. And then this one here, this isn't really going to help you decide which event to spend on or anything, but I just thought this would be interesting to show really quick here that Spooky Festival is really paying out huge for the stuff that you're going to do anyway if you're visiting the game regularly. You get something like 4 times the normal reward just for logging in compared to some of these other events. And the VIP payout is also enormous. But this again, you know, this huge bar here is because of the VIP 7, where you get a Spooky Festival coin. It is higher than usual, regardless, but the biggest payout here is in the very last VIP, which for this task is 7. And that, you know, that just go back to this. That's part of what makes this such a good event. Is aside from these tasks that I'm going to go through here, there's, you know, the Furnace of Souls minigame where it has its own rewards. They tend to put out really good rewards on the community page, so don't miss them. There'll be probably some of the ghost candy every day or most days, if it's anything like the Summer Festival. All right, so digging a little bit deeper into one of the specific tasks here, and I'll go through a few of them. What this is showing you is across the bottom here, the number of chests that you have to open. These are all the milestones. Like so, for your first 3 chests, you already get a little bit of a payout here, and this is the emerald value of the rewards that you're going to get. And so this follows a very common pattern here, both within Spooky Fest and all events, where they're low to start. They come up a little bit, you know, about a third or halfway through the event, and then they tend to dip down and then get really big at the end. Part of why I bring that up is on these events, it's best if you can complete a task outright on one special event rather than going 2/3 of the way on every special event. All right, so Hero Souls, you can see this is following almost the exact same curve here, only the task is a little bit different, where you have to get 25, 50, 75 heroic souls, etc., all the way down to 1,000. And you can see here that just an enormous portion of the value of this task is coming out of this 1,000. So, you know, maybe through the daily heroic chest, your missions, a few shop coins, you're going to get to, you know, a couple hundred for free. I don't know if that's going to be 300, 400, 500. It's probably somewhere in here. But then, you know, I'd say you don't want to open just 1 or 2 of any heroic soulstone chests that you've been saving just to get these kind of middle of the road rewards here. You know, if you can't max this out in this event here, then save all of them for an event that's only going to charge you to get 500, and then you can max that one out, because odds are really good that it's going to follow the same bar where maybe not quite the severe, but where the last payouts are always going to be the best. So again, don't if you're paying emeralds or using those rare heroic soul chests, don't go halfway in. Go either all in on an event or don't do it at all. Save them for another event when you can get all the way done. All right, the energy graph here is a little bit more even. It's actually some really good payouts at the beginning, and then weak in the middle, and then it maxes out here at the end. Yeah, you can see it's 1,600 emeralds worth of value per 1,000 energy for those last 3,000 energy that you have to spend. So, and that's that spooky festival coin here coming in that's worth about 5,000 emeralds for that 3,000 energy. But this one here, 18,000, it's not a bad unachievable target, considering that it's a 7-day event. And if you hold off on your emerald for energy purchases on the opening day of the event, then maybe you even get an 8th day out of it. So this is a really good one, Spooky Festival here, to open up any bottled energy that you've been saving. We often have a target of 12,000 or 15,000 on a 3-day event, so 18,007 is not too bad. And then spending emeralds. This is the most unique curve here, where you get some pretty big payouts for your early spending, and then it dips down pretty drastically and picks up big again at the end. So, even if you're a totally free-to-play player, maybe you're getting some emeralds out of Arena or wherever else. I guess the weekly Tournament of Element is going to give you at least something. This is going to be a really good place to spend a few of them. If you spend 1,000 or 500 emeralds here, you're actually getting more than that. More than, this is per 1,000, so you get more return here than you're spending. So it's like, 2-for-1 emeralds, basically. And then, like all the others, it's coming up strong here in the end. This last 65,000 reward tier, if you spend the 10,000 to get from 55 to 65, you get 2 Spooky Festival coins. So basically, you spend 10,000 and you get 10,000 worth of coins back. So, 1,000 per 1,000. All right, so that wraps up what I wanted to talk about in terms of the value of the tasks in this event. So I'm gonna getting to the end here. I just want to talk quickly about what to hold off on doing on Thursday if you're a Western Hemisphere player. Don't run the Outland. Don't run heroic missions. As I mentioned earlier, hold off on spending any emeralds for energy on Thursday until the event starts in the evening. Probably 9 p.m. or somewhere between 7 and 10 p.m. depending on where you're at. And then, if your guild needs you to hit a daily minimum, or you just want to help out to get to whatever the next tier is, maybe that'll be a good day to exchange some of those, useless green items that are coming with whatever you need to raid for real. Anyway, then hold off on opening the heroic chest and keep a couple of those shop coins on hand so you can get a few heroic souls out of that. And then, wait for the event to go live and then start spending. All right. Anyway, hope this helped you guys. If these notifications are helpful, or if you're ever missing an opportunity to get an extra day out of the event, then hit subscribe and notify, and you'll get these alerts before it's too late. Thanks.